Hey there, this is Mr. Alexander, and today what I'd like to talk to you about is using the calculator to calculate correlation. So, a couple strategies here I want to talk to you about. The first one is, if you've got some data, and you got an X, you got a Y, and you just want to know what the correlation between them is. The easiest, most simple thing to do is to simply type the data into stat edit, which I've already done. So I've got all this data in here. And you can get the calculator to spit out the correlation by going to your catalog first. And you can get to the catalog by doing second 0 and scrolling down to Diagnostic on. And what doing Diagnostic on will do is hit enter twice. When you turn on the diagnostic, it tells the calculator that it should start calculating correlations for you. So what you'll want to do next, after you've typed the data into stat edit, all this X and Y data here, if you go to stat calc 4, which is linear regression, in a TI-83 you won't see the screen, you'll just hit enter. But in the TI-84 you just have to verify, yes, my X's are in list 1, yes, my Y's are in list 2, and no, I don't have frequency data. When you calculate, it's going to spit out a few things for you. The first thing, or I guess the last thing it spits out, is the correlation coefficient of 0.9851, which would be a very strong positive correlation. The R squared is the coefficient of determination, which tells you the percent of data that the percent of the data variation in Y that is explained by X. So in this case, it would mean that 97% of the variation in cost is explained by the size of the diamond, or carats if you prefer. But maybe you don't want just the correlation. Maybe you actually need to calculate it by hand. And to do that, we've got a formula. We calculate this is straight off the formula sheet. This SP equals the sum of the XY's minus the sum of the X times the sum of Y's divided by N. Standard deviations here, and then we've got this formula. The calculator can give you all this stuff as well, and you'll simply need to manipulate them in the formula. So to get this value of N, sum of X, sum of Y, sum of the XY's, what you'll do is you'll do stat calc 2 for 2 variable statistics, and yes, my X's are in list 1 and my Y's are in list 2. When you calculate that, you'll see that the sum of the X's is 4.55, so I'm just going to write that down. The sum of the Y's, if I scroll down, are 11,672, and they'll even calculate the product of them. The sum of the XY's is right here, 2,815.79. Well, that N is back at the top there. N was 21. That just means there's 21 data points, 21 sets of X and Y. I need a couple other things here as well. The standard deviation of X, standard deviation of Y. I do not recommend you try and calculate those by hand, especially if you've got 21 data points. The standard deviation of X is 0.062, and standard deviation of Y, right here, is 234.84, let's call it 7. Let me round that up. Now, with that, you can actually go ahead and do the calculation by hand. So let me just show you that real quick. Now that we've got those, we can say, okay, this SP is 2815.79, sum of the XY's minus the sum of the X's, which is 4.55, 11,672, all divided by N, which is 21. So when I type that in the calculator, 2815.79 minus 4.55 times 11,672 divided by 21. This SP is 286.84. 0.857. And now I can use that to calculate the correlation, because correlation, R, the correlation coefficient, is 286.857 divided by n minus 1, which is 20, times the standard deviation of x, 0.062, times standard deviation of y, 234.847. When I type this all in, hopefully I get that correlation coefficient that I got on the calculator earlier. So 286.857 divided by 20 times 0.062 times 234.847. And sure enough, it's 0.985, and I'm going to round that to 1. Remember when I did stat calc 4, the correlation I got was 0.9851, which is what I got when I did it by hand. So, calculator's your friend. I don't recommend trying to go through adding all these up, and then multiplying these and add them all up. That just takes too much time. Let the calculator, you can certainly do that and you get the same answer, but from my perspective, every time you do a calculation, it's an opportunity to calculate something incorrectly. So let the calculator be your friend. Let it be a tool at your disposal. So that's how you do it. That's how you're going to calculate correlation using the calculator. And if we just want to quickly write down those steps, remember we did stat, edit, second, 0, diagnostic on, and then it was stat, calc, 4, which is how I got the sum of the x's, sum of the y's, sum of the xy's, standard deviation of x, standard deviation of y. To do that was stat, calc, 2. So this will just give you R. This will give you all those sums that you need. Alright, thank you for watching. See you on the next one.